You guys, this is so pathetic. At one of Trump's press conferences when he was president, he clashes with Jim Acosta as Jim Acosta continues to ask him these silly questions. But Trump doesn't disappoint. Check what happens.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to challenge you on one of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign in the midterms.
Here we go.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President, the caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it.
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in this election
to try to keep? I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. You know, they have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process, and I want people to come in, and we need the people. Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
Well, that's true. But they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. Right. These were people. This was an actual, it happened a few days ago. And
they're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President. If I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Excuse me. That's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian
investigation
because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Peter, go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts his butt.
Well, I'm not
like
a big fan of yours either, so
I understand.
To be honest.
So let me ask you a question if I can. You repeatedly said...
You aren't the best.
Mr. President, you repeatedly, over the course of the...
Okay, just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
I remember this situation with Jim Acosta always going after Trump when Trump was a president. He was so annoying. And he always wanted to ask, not even gotcha questions, just like silly, stupid questions. The one that he asked there, he goes about the caravan coming. And the comments that Trump made, and Trump was trying to clarify, he wants people to come in legally, and Jim is just trying to make it out that Trump was trying to call these people racist and all that stuff. I mean, you heard it. He's so annoying and so disrespectful to not only all the other reporters in the room, where he feels like, what is this, like 101? This is like a sudden one-on-one between Jim and Trump. Like, he just takes over the questioning. And when the lady came to grab the mic so she can pass it on, he was so rude to her and went and pulled away. I mean, where does he think it just blows my mind that he thinks he can get away with that. He is just trying to make a name for himself. I mean, I remember during that time, all we heard about is how rude and obnoxious Jim Acosta was during Trump's press conferences. I mean, he was definitely just trying to make a name for himself. But the part that really just was so frustrating, when the question moved on to the other guy, and the other guy kind of started acting like Jim. You hear Trump? He goes, what are you, trying to be like him? I mean, so rude. But Trump holds his own, as he always does.